The sound of rain hitting glass windows echoed to the massive luxury mansion, a place where money spoke louder than humanity. Inside, under golden lights and marble floors, a young woman stood trembling. Her hands shook as she held a tray filled with office files and a cup of tea. Her belly was heavy, 9 months pregnant, but her eyes showed something heavier, fear. Across from her sat a man barely 30, dressed in an expensive suit, his watch worth more than her entire life. Beside him stood his wife, young, flawless, dressed in white, her face shining with arrogance rather than beauty. One careless second changed everything. The tea slipped, paper scattered, and before anyone could breathe, the man stood up, rage burning in his eyes. His hand moved fast, too fast. Outside, from a neighboring house, 2 young twin sisters froze in shock. One covered her mouth in fear. The other clenched her fists. What they witnessed would not stay a secret forever. The maid had started working in the mansion because hunger is louder than pride. She was 30, young in age but old in suffering. Life had never offered her choices, only survival. With a child growing inside her, she needed money desperately. The mansion job promised safety, at least on paper. In reality, it became a daily humiliation. From the very first day, the millionaire couple made it clear where she stood. Below them, invisible, replaceable, the husband ruled his world with money and ego. Success had hardened his heart. Employees feared him. Even his wife admired his cruelty, mistaking it for strength. She laughed when he insulted servants. She joined in mocking accents, clothes, hunger. The maid endured everything silently. Sarcastic comments, unnecessary scolding, deliberate cruelty. Every step she took reminded her she did not belong there. The pregnancy made everything harder. Her back ached. Her feet swelled. Yet she was never allowed rest. If she slowed down, they mocked her weakness. If she asked for water, they accused her of laziness. Sometimes the wife would stare at her belly with disgust and say things that cut deeper than any slap. Still, the maid stayed, because poverty does not allow dignity. Next door lived the twins. Both were young, both beautiful, yet completely different. One had a white, glowing face and eyes always calculating advantage. The other had deep black skin and eyes full of awareness. They often watched the mansion from their balcony. They had noticed the maid long ago, the way she walked slowly, the way her head stayed down. The white-faced twin always said it was none of their business. Trouble, she believed, was dangerous. Silence was safety. But the black-faced twin felt something else. Anger, pain, a responsibility she couldn't explain. The day everything broke began like any other. The millionaire was working in his private office, reviewing important documents for a multi-million-dollar deal. He demanded tea and files immediately. The maid, already exhausted, entered carefully. Her hands were shaking. Her balance wasn't steady. One small slip. The tea spilled across the desk. Files fell to the floor. The room froze. The wife laughed first. A sharp, cruel laugh. The husband stood up slowly, his face dark with rage. He didn't ask if she was okay. He didn't see her condition. He saw only disrespect. He raised his hand and struck her hard. The impact sent her stumbling backward, clutching her stomach, gasping for breath. Fear flooded her body. Fear for herself. Fear for her unborn child. Outside, the twin saw everything through the open window. The white-faced twin froze. Her heart raced. "We should go inside," she whispered. "This is dangerous." The black-faced twin couldn't move. Her eyes burned with disbelief and fury. A pregnant woman. Beaten. For a mistake. Inside, the millionaire shouted. The wife joined him, calling the maid useless, threatening to throw her out without pay. The maid knelt on the floor, apologizing through tears, her body shaking. That moment changed something. The black-faced twin knew silence would make her guilty too. From that day on, she started watching carefully, recording, noting times, listening through open windows. She saw the insults grow worse, the abuse more frequent. The maid became weaker, yet she was forced to work harder. Neighbors noticed But no one spoke. Money creates fear. Fear creates silence. The white-faced twin noticed her sister's behavior. She warned her to stop. "These people are powerful," she said. "We have our own lives. Don't ruin everything." But the black-faced twin had already chosen. One night, the maid collapsed near the gate. The black-faced twin rushed to help her. For the first time, the maid wasn't invisible. Someone held her hand. Someone listened. She told her everything. The fear, the beatings, the threats, the pregnancy. The black-faced twin promised something no one had promised her before. "I won't let this continue." The white-faced twin heard everything. She felt pity, but also fear. Fear of consequences. Fear of losing comfort. Fear of standing against power. She chose silence. The next morning, the maid was called to the mansion again. The millionaire and his wife acted as if nothing happened, smiling, cruel calm. But the black-faced twin was ready. Justice had already begun moving. The morning air felt heavier than usual. Something had shifted, even though the mansion still stood tall, shining with wealth and arrogance. Inside, the maid moved slowly, her body weak, her spirit bruised, yet her eyes held a quiet determination. She knew now that someone had seen. Someone cared. That knowledge alone gave her strength to breathe another day. The millionaire and his wife, however, felt untouchable. To them, the maid was already forgotten, another object that could be broken and replaced. They spoke openly in front of her, mocking her condition, reminding her how easily she could be thrown out. The wife smiled cruelly as she adjusted her jewelry, whispering insults meant to sting deeper than physical pain. The husband warned her not to speak to anyone, not to exaggerate stories, not to forget her place. Fear wrapped itself around the maid's heart, but she remained silent, not because she agreed, but because she was waiting. Next door, the black-faced twin worked quietly. Her phone was filled with recordings, her notebook filled with dates, times, and words that should never have been spoken. She had captured raised voices, threats, humiliation. She knew it wasn't enough to feel anger. Proof was the only language power respected. The white-faced twin watched her sister with growing anxiety. "You don't understand what you're doing," she said one evening. "These people could destroy us. Think about our future." Her voice trembled, not with injustice, but with fear of losing comfort. She dreamed of success, of opportunity, of not being noticed. Truth, to her, was dangerous. The black-faced twin looked at her calmly. "If we stay silent, we become like them." Days later, everything collapsed. The maid was sent to deliver documents to the office again. Her hands were shaking, but she obeyed. When she entered, the millionaire was already angry. He accused her of stealing time, of slowing down work. His wife stood beside him, adding fuel to the fire. This time, the black-faced twin was recording from outside, her heart pounding. The shouting escalated. The husband raised his hand again. This time, the maid screamed. The sound echoed beyond the walls. Neighbors came out. Someone called the authorities. Panic spread. The millionaire tried to control the situation, blaming the maid, accusing her of acting dramatic. His wife cried fake tears, playing the victim. But it was too late. The case moved fast. Abuse, assault, and exploitation could not be hidden once exposed. The maid was taken for medical examination. Evidence of harm was found. Her pregnancy was at risk. The story reached court. The day of the hearing arrived. The courtroom was cold, formal, intimidating. The maid sat alone, her hands folded tightly in her lap. No family, no friends, no support. She looked small in that vast room, surrounded by strangers who judged her silently. Across from her sat the millionaire and his wife, dressed perfectly, confident smiles on their faces. Expensive lawyers surrounded them. They whispered calmly, as if this were just another business meeting. Witnesses were called. Neighbors avoided eye contact. Servants denied everything. Fear had sealed their mouths. One by one, people claimed ignorance. The millionaire's lawyer painted the maid as careless, emotional, irresponsible. The wife spoke softly, pretending concern, twisting the story. The maid felt herself shrinking. Tears burned her eyes. Her hope began to fade. Then footsteps echoed. The black-faced twin stood up. She walked forward with steady steps, her heart racing but her resolve unshaken. She presented recordings, videos, dates, words spoken in cruelty. The room fell silent as the truth played aloud. The millionaire's face hardened. His wife's smile cracked. The evidence was undeniable. Gasps filled the courtroom. The judge listened carefully. For the first time, the power shifted. Money no longer spoke, louder than truth. The white-faced twin sat back, her head lowered. She knew the truth. She had seen everything. Yet when asked if she wished to speak, she hesitated. Fear choked her voice. She remained silent. The black-faced twin did not look back. The maid felt something she had never felt before, validation. She was no longer invisible. Someone had chosen her over safety. The ruling was clear. Accountability was demanded. Consequences followed. The mansion that once symbolized power now echoed with disgrace. The millionaire's arrogance collapsed under the weight of justice. His wife's cruelty was exposed for what it truly was. Outside the courtroom, sunlight touched the maid's face. She breathed deeply, tears streaming freely now, not from pain but relief. Her child would be born into a world where someone had fought for them. The black-faced twin stood beside her, quiet but proud. The white-faced twin watched from afar, regret heavy in her chest. She had chosen fear over truth, comfort over courage. Some choices change lives. Others haunt forever.